Okay folks, finally, after very considerable delay, Darragh O'Brien and the Department of Housing have released both the Q1 and the Q2 Affordable Housing Progress Report and Social Housing Progress Report. Just to remind you, they're meant to be published at the end of the quarter. The first one should have been published in April of this year. I understand the figures were completed with the department. Likewise, Q2 should have been published in August. And my speculation was, and it's confirmed by the figures, that the reason why it wasn't published is because the figures are so appallingly low. The Affordable Housing Report tells us that there was just 101 affordable purchase homes delivered by local authorities in the first 6 months of this year. Just 22 cost rental units delivered by affordable housing bodies in the first half of this year, and not a single affordable home delivered by the Land Development Agency during that period of time. The government has a target of 5,500 affordable homes to be delivered this year, although about 2,000 of those aren't affordable homes at all. They're private homes, overpriced, purchased with the controversial shared equity loan product. But even that, there are no figures released today for the number of drawdowns of that shared equity loan, only approvals, not that that is affordable housing. And likewise with social housing, the target is 9,100 units to be delivered this year. New builds, just over 1,400 have been delivered, 15% halfway through the year. The consequence of the failure of government to meet their own, albeit modest targets, is to be seen almost everywhere. The reason why more and more young people are being forced to live at home in their 20s and 30s is because the government are failing to deliver affordable homes. The reason why an ever-growing number of young people with education and job opportunities, or even good jobs, are leaving the country is because government is failing to deliver genuinely affordable homes. The reason why we've seen between the two census a dramatic increase in the number of people over the age of 55 in an expensive and insecure private rental sector is because the government is failing to deliver an adequate volume of affordable homes. And the reason why homelessness has reached record highs is because people can't get out of emergency accommodation because government isn't delivering an adequate supply of social homes. Darragh O'Brien has been minister now coming into 4 years. Every single year he has missed his social and affordable housing targets, and on the basis of the data put on the department's website over the weekend, he's going to miss both his social and affordable housing targets again. That is why we have a housing crisis, and while the solution to the glacial pace of social and affordable housing delivery is radical reform of the approval process with the department, something we've been calling for years, it's quite clear both Darragh O'Brien and this government are incapable of making the changes that are necessary and delivering the volume of social and affordable homes that people require. And that as long as they're in government, this housing crisis is going to get worse, and I think today's depressingly low output figures confirm that once again.
So you talked about the LDA delivering just 20, was it?
No, in fact, the figures produced by the Department of Housing on their website say that in the first 6 months of this year, the Land Development Agency did not deliver a single affordable home.
Okay, what are the actual figures for affordable homes? You talked about the local authorities, the LDA and stuff. Well, what are the figures that they're claiming?
They're not claiming anything.
You talked about a shared equity.
So in the report that was published over the weekend, it tells us that there was 101 affordable purchase homes delivered through local authorities, 22 affordable cost rental homes delivered by approved housing bodies, not a single affordable home delivered by the LDA, and approximately 1,500 shared equity loan approvals. And there, keep in mind, loans for people to buy homes of 400 to 500,000 euros, but they're approvals, not drawdowns. So they're the figures, the official figures released at the weekend.
And are the approved housing bodies included in those figures?
They're the 22 affordable cost rentals. So that's the total local authority, AHB and LDA delivery, 123 homes in 6 months. And that's just staggeringly low, given that we're into the 4th year of this government. And many of these housing programmes were up and running from the previous government. 122 affordable homes, 123 affordable homes in that period of time just shows this government is not serious about tackling the affordable housing crisis.
Okay, if you were in government, Owen, you're obviously you'd change policy and you'd try to build as many public houses or public homes on public land as possible. But that's something that can't be achieved overnight. So if you were in government, how long would it take for you to turn the ship and actually get to the figures that you want the government to get in relation to housing? I mean, would it take 1, 2, 3? Would it take a whole term of government for that to change?
So first of all, we're of the view that you could in year one deliver 20,000 public homes. That would be 12,000 social homes and it would be 8,000 affordable homes. A significant number of those would be turnkey. They would be purchased from private developers, and in fact there's quite a lot of opportunity out there at the moment because institutional investors are getting cold feet. Likewise, there are actually 34,000 social homes in the government's pipeline. The question is they're not being delivered quickly enough. So we've produced very, very detailed proposals as to how you would strip away the excessive levels of bureaucracy imposed by the Department of Housing and the Public Expenditure Reform to speed up the delivery both of the social homes that are in the pipeline and add new more. And for example, you take St Michael's Estate, announced as 100% public housing, 30% social, 70% affordable in 2018. It'll be 10 years before anybody moves into a home on St Michael's Estate. The average social housing infill building project of say 50 homes, there's 12 to 24 months of bureaucracy after planning before the building. That has to be stripped away, and we've demonstrated how to do it. On top of that, there are a range of companies, public and private sector, that have cutting-edge new building technologies where they can produce off-site almost 100% of the homes fully compliant with fire safety and building control regulations. They have been telling us over and over again they need multi-annual framework agreements. They need a commitment from government as to how many units they require year on year. So my view is if government last year delivered 7,500 social and 1,000 affordable homes, in a single year we could move from that level of output to the 20,000 public homes. Now I think we're then going to need to go beyond that. Housing Commission will be publishing a report later this year. I think that will be really important for all of us to get a real sense of how many new homes are needed annually. And we know from reporting in your own paper what that estimate would be. And then finally we have to tackle vacancy. Year after year we say at least 20% of our public housing output would be from vacant and derelict homes, about 4,000 annually. So it's about cutting the red tape. It is about increasing the funding and the targets. It's about better use of vacant and derelicts and better use of new building technologies. But the real question here is not can it be done, it's why is this government failing even to deliver its own modest targets? They tell us time after time on the floor of the Dáil it's the most comprehensive housing programme in the history of the state, the most funding has ever been available. When they missed their targets last year and the year before, what did Darragh O'Brien say? It was COVID, it was Brexit. Well, he can't use that as an excuse this year, right? This is down to one, the lack of ambition by government, and two, the excessive levels of bureaucracy imposed by government through the departments and local authorities and approved housing bodies. And until those two things change, the targets will continue to be missed.
Can I just ask you to respond to some of what the department would say in defence of the figures? They say that traditionally the delivery of social housing ramps up throughout the year and a significant portion will be delivered in quarter four. And then they also say that they have 22,600 social homes either on site or at various stages of design and procurement. Can you respond to that?
Yeah, so with respect to the second figure, and I think the total number that are in the pipeline at some point, either at the approval stage, the planning stage, procurement or on site is about 34,000. But they're taking so long. And again, I'm looking at my own constituency. There are projects on site at the minute where planning was approved in 2018 and 2019. So it's not that there aren't a significantly larger number in the pipeline, but that pipeline is moving far, far too slowly, and I see no evidence of it speeding up. And the second thing is that it is true, traditionally we get a bump in the final quarter of the year, but we're at almost exactly the same point as we were at this time last year. So about halfway through last year, it was 12 or 1,300 social homes, and they missed their 9,000 target by 1,500 homes. And why is that important? If every year you miss your social housing new build targets, then the pent-up demand for social housing grows and you need to increase your targets. So we don't know what the final year's output will be until we get the final report. But on the basis of what we have today and comparing that with last year, it is really hard to see how they're going to deliver 9,100 new build social homes. And keep in mind, we've 1,700 families in emergency accommodation, we've 6,000 single people. So if you're not delivering 1,500 or 2,000 of your social homes, new build social homes, very, very large numbers of people will remain homeless who otherwise would be housed. So I take no comfort from the department saying things will get better, because so far every year when they've told us that, they've still missed the targets. On top of that, the targets are too low. Fine Gael under the old National Development Plan had an annual target of 10,000 new build social homes. Darragh O'Brien in his housing plan cut that down to 9,000 a year. Our view is you need to be moving between 12 and 15,000 new build social homes a year over a 5-year period to tackle existing and emerging demand. So even if they meet the targets, which I don't think they will, they're still not going to tackle the problem.
I just ask you, just in relation to your own policies, I mean, are you not in danger of kind of over-promising and under-delivering at a future stage once you get into government? When you talk about prefabricated houses and modern technology, but services take a long time. You talk about cutting the red tape, but sometimes there's a lot of red tape involved in cutting the red tape. You know, how confident are you that you can achieve the figures that you have set out for yourself and for Sinn Féin?
So any government and any Minister for Housing are going to live and die by delivery, not by promises, not by plans, but by delivery. And I'm very conscious of that, having tracked 3 housing ministers who have failed to deliver on their commitments. The targets that we have announced, we believe, are achievable. Only recently we had industry representatives from the new building technologies, and we asked them if a government was serious, if a government was going to put on the table what your sector needs to dramatically ramp up the delivery of really, really good quality, low carbon homes, what could be done year 1 to year 5? And they went through the numbers and they said year 1 1,000, year 5 15,000, and they set out what they needed. Likewise, for example, St Michael's Estate, it already has the services, it already has the roads, it already has the bus routes. How can it take 10 years to deliver 500 apartments? And therefore, again, when you go and you look at the detail of the public spending code and the 4-stage approval process with the department, you begin to see where the delays are. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I do not accept that the best a government can do is a few hundred affordable homes and a few thousand social homes. So we need more ambition, we need more political will, and we need to drive those people who actually know how to deliver public homes, local authorities and approved housing bodies. And let's get the Department of Housing out of the way. Their job is to set policy and provide funding, but those people on the ground need to deliver the homes. And I'm confident the targets we set we would meet. All right, folks. Thanks very much.